Hi guys, welcome to UkFlyFisher. Today we have another Trout Talk Tuesday episode for you.
There we are, black mamba proving its worth again. Double figure fish there easily.
Okay, so today I'm joined by my good friend Lloyd Williamson, and he's going to let you know what's coming up in today's episode.
That's right, today we'd like to go over the hotly disputed subject of catch and release fishing. So Gareth, what's your opinion?
Well, I'm all for catch and release fishing, but I think there needs to be a balance, because if you're not taking fish out, nothing's getting stocked, and you just get a pond of shy fish. They become hard to catch and very difficult to persuade onto your fly. But you've come from a coarse fishing background, so what have you found when entering fly fishing and having to do catch and release?
That's right, so growing up I did a lot of coarse fishing, and coarse fishing is completely catch and release. You never keep any of the fish. So a few years back when me and Gareth started fly fishing together, catching and killing them was a very new concept to me.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who it's also a new concept for, and a lot of things can sound and put you off catch and release fishing. So we'll go over a few of them today. We'll try and solve what of them are myths and what of them are good practices, and hopefully we'll give you a few tips and tricks along the way. Okay, firstly, let's have a little look at venues. Now, there are three different types of venues. Probably the most popular is a catch and kill venue. So Lloyd, what's your experience when visiting catch and kill venues?
Yeah, so I think catch and kill venues are great for beginners. Because these fish are stocked regularly, they maintain a healthy head of fish in the lake. Secondly, these fish are used to being fed 3 times a day. So when they're released into the lake, they're used to being fed and they become more hungry and are willing to take your fly.
Yeah, that's true. The only negatives I'd say is when you start improving as an angler, they can become very easy. You can pay your money in £20 and within 40 minutes you're done. You've had your 4 fish and you really haven't had a day's fishing. So when that becomes the case, we move on to fisheries that offer catch and release after your kill tickets. Now these tend to be our favourite fisheries. They offer you a kill ticket, meaning that they get stocked regularly, but also offer you the option to do catch and release afterwards, meaning you know you're going to enjoy a full day's fishing.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're the way forward. Last on our list is catch and release only fisheries. Now these provide a challenge, so they are better for the most experienced anglers, and they're also a bit easier on your wallet.
After venues, we can then look at equipment. Now it's important to use the right equipment for the job. There are many reasons for this, the main one being if you play a fish to exhaustion, the release isn't going to go well afterwards. Now, although you're going to get more of an enjoyable fight on a light rod, if you're going there to do catch and release, it's good to look after the fish because it means someone else can enjoy them in the future.
While we're on the topic of gear, I believe rubber nets are the way forward. Rubber opposed to mesh is a lot less abrasive to this fish's protective layer. And I've also noticed that when fishing with mesh nets, the gills and the mouth can become tangled in the net.
Yeah, and that just slows down the time you can get that fish back in the water. So rubber's definitely the way forward, I'd have to agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so after the equipment, it's probably best to look at the hooks. Now there are 3 out there on the market. We have barbed, barbless and debarbed hooks. Now, barbed hooks are perfect for the beginner. They're designed to keep the fish on the hook and help you land that fish. Unfortunately, this is a negative when it comes to catch and release because it also makes them extremely difficult to remove, meaning you'll often have to handle the fish and cause it a lot of stress just to get your hook out of the fish.
So secondly, we've got debarbed hooks, so essentially a hook with a crushed barb. Now the crushed barb leaves a protrusion which can help with hook hold whilst fighting the fish. The consequences of this could mean a structural weakness to the hook, so you can end up snapping it or bending it. The other consequence is that removing the hook is a lot more difficult than using a normal barbless hook.
Yep, that's true. And the last one that you can use then obviously is barbless. Now these are perfect for catch and release and they often fall out in the net, meaning you don't even need to handle the fish, which is why we strongly recommend them.
But it does make it a lot more interesting when you're fighting the fish because you know you've got to keep that line tight, otherwise you could end up losing it.
Yeah, in other words, they make you a better angler.
So the next topic we want to look at is clothing. Now a lot of people tend to wear handling gloves when the weather gets a bit colder, but we recommend that you wear the gloves when you're fishing, but once you've landed the fish, you take the gloves off and hold the fish with just your hands, because there's material from the gloves and maybe a coat or trousers, whatever the fish comes into contact with, can remove the protective layer off the skin and leave them open to infections and diseases.
Yes, that leads us perfectly onto the handling of a trout. Now when it comes to catch and release, people are always scared of touching their fish, but it's important to learn how. Because if you ever go river fishing, you're going to need to recover the fish. If you just flip the net over and let him go and that fish is exhausted, he'll get washed downstream and can become damaged as he gets knocked against rocks. Now there's a lot of people out there that are obsessed with handling kills fish, but if done correctly, it's a very important technique to use because you can then go onto the river and know you can put a fish back without causing any stress.
Okay, so our first tip for handling is keep handling to a minimum, okay? It will cause unnecessary stress to the fish.
Secondly, you're going to want to make sure your hands are wet. Touching a fish with dry hands can remove the slime, and as we said earlier, this can cause the fish to pick up natural diseases.
Okay, our third point is never hold the fish by the gills, okay? It's a very bad idea. It can cause lots of problems for the fish.
Also, you're going to want to keep that fish in the water for as long as possible, preferably not removing it at all if you're going to be releasing the fish.
And our final tip is when you're releasing the fish, make sure it's recovered fully. So take your time, put them in the water and just make sure the fish is ready to go back when you release it.
I think the main thing to do is just to be respectful and the fish should swim away.
Yeah.
Lastly, we have the subject that makes the topic so controversial, and that is photographs. Now we all like to remember the fish we've caught, and back in the day you used to club it on the head and go home and show all your relatives. But nowadays it's a little bit more civilised and you can often keep that memory by taking a good photograph.
The big common misconception is that handling the fish will cause it harm. Well, this is not the case, okay? Most fisheries will grade each individual fish, which means they are handled before they are even put in the lake.
Yeah, and if this caused the fish serious harm, they'd be seriously harming their profits, so it's not something they do.
Okay, so let's give you a few quick tips on how to get that perfect picture.
Firstly, like we explained earlier in the video, it's important to keep your hands wet and keep the fish in the water for as long as possible until you're ready to take the shot.
We also recommend keeping the fish as low to the water as possible, because if that fish tries to jump, then it's not got far to fall.
Preferably over the water as well, so that if it does fall, it's going to fall back into the water, causing no harm at all.
And if you're on your own, just take a picture of the fish in the net. There's no need to pick it up and hold it.
Another quick tip that I forgot to mention earlier would be, if you're going to take a picture, try and set yourself a time limit. My time limit is 8 seconds. You want to get the fish out, take a quick shot, get it back within 8 seconds. It's not going to cause any harm, and you've got a picture that's going to keep your memories alive for a long time. So that brings the video to a nice end. If you've got anything to add that you feel will be useful for other anglers, make sure you let us know in the comments below. Before we go, Lloyd's got a little bonus for you.
Okay, so this week we've got a giveaway of some 4x8 inch stickers. If you want to win one of these, like the video and comment below which colour you prefer, black or white.
Okay, so today I'm joined by my good friend Lloyd Williamson, and he's going to tell you about what we're going to be discussing today.
Cheers, Gareth. Right, so today we want to go over the Today we'd like to go over the hotly disputed subject.
Hotly disputed subject.
Subject. Hotly disputed subject. Hotly disputed subject of catch and release fishing. So, Gareth, what's your...
The corners on you.
Firstly, we've got catch and kill venues. So, Lloyd, what's your opinion on catch and release fishing?
Fishing.
Ba-da-da-bum-bum.
Just go when you're ready.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Let's do this.
You should have carried on.
I wasn't sure if you were singing Final Countdown or your theme tune, so...
Bit both, really.
Okay.